What's going on, guys? It's Trader Cause. I wanted to record a relatively short video today instead of a stream. There's not quite that much to talk about on my end, but we'll do a trade review on the short that I took last week, the 7th. Yeah, that was about a week ago, that we closed out 2 days ago. Talk about what I'm looking for to get in a long or a short, or just position myself going forward from here. And then we'll talk about a little bit more high time frame stuff as well. So let's jump into it. Took this short mostly because we have been in a range this entire time since, I guess, mid-June. So we've been in a range for about a month. And when we are trading in a range, my kind of motto, I guess, is just to trade the range extremes. And that means I want to take shorts when we're around the range high, and I want to take longs when we're around the range low. Anytime price gets to an extreme of the range, that's when I want to be positioning myself. So last week we had this nice impulsive move up towards the range high. When this candle closed as a rejection, I entered a short. Sometimes I would wait for more confirmation, and sorry, I keep zooming in and out. And it did end up giving some nice confirmation here when it broke down and then retested the range high perfectly. But my overall thesis was that this was a deviation and that we were just sweeping the highs right here. Well, not that one, I guess, just this one. And that we would push lower from there. If price stalled and consolidated above the range high, I would have cut this trade and looked for re-entry after it did end up breaking down. But sometimes in these quick spikes, I am willing to take a little bit more aggressive of an entry and then either add once we get confirmation. In this case, what I was looking for was a breakdown and then retest of this level. Or if you want to play things a little more conservatively, you can just wait for that in general and then even get in a little tighter of an entry. So here my stop loss was 3.8%. If you shorted the retest of this with a stop at the local high, it'd be just over 2.8%. So high or tighter stop loss means bigger position size, which means you would have made more money going about it that way if you held to the same targets. So we were holding support pretty well around here, like we were just chopping in this range, but I had confidence holding the trade because we were below the range high, and also I had moved my stop to break even. I think it was somewhere around here after these spikes, because I was a little uncertain as to how things played out, but I didn't want to close the short entirely, so moved that stop to break even and then kind of just waited it out. Then we started just downtrending here pretty steadily until we got towards the monthly open, which coincides nicely with the mid-range of this entire range that we're working with, right around here. And at that point, I was like, okay, we're sitting on support. I'm at a very solid 2.5 R. This could easily bounce up from here to this SR level, which is where we broke down from, and I would happily reshort there. But I don't want to lose like 1.5 R of unrealized profits. So decided to close it out here because we were sitting on support. It did end up pushing down a little further, but I just was not willing to risk those profits after things had gone so well, and we were on a pretty clear support level in my opinion. So now, trade review complete. Moving forward, what I'm kind of looking for. So we spiked down here. We didn't take out this low, which is kind of what I want for a higher time frame long to take from one side of the range back towards the other. Or in this case, it might just be from here to this SR level and not all the way back to the range high. But we reversed a little bit before that. I'm not fully convinced that the bottom is in there. Because now we have this low untapped, this low, and this one. So there is liquidity to the downside, but also we were in this like slow, steady downtrend that we have finally broken out from. So it's kind of a little bit of a middle ground here for me. And that's why I'm not rushing to get into any positions immediately. With that being said, I think a retest of this area would be a long opportunity, because you could see this is the clear SR level that's been capping price once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, even 5 times if you count that wick. So a retest of that level we would expect to hold. On the other hand, if it comes down here and then breaks back below, I would think that this is the high end right there, and that we'd be pushing lower to these untapped lows. So right now it's kind of a wait and see. It's also right around the daily close. The daily close happened 40 minutes ago, and I don't usually like to take any trades at the beginning of the new daily candle. But those are 2 scenarios that I'm kind of looking for. If I were to take this long, I'd be targeting Monday's high and this SR level. And if we break below that, the target would be 18,580, give or take. So I think we continue trading in that region, and I think the best thing we can do right now is just keep trading this range until it gives out. And a lot of people, and even myself in the past, like, you start to feel a little bullish up here or a little bearish down here, but the reality is this is support, this is resistance until proven otherwise. So you could short it 1, 2, 3, 4 times or something and get it right before it ends up breaking out above this level. And then you're wrong pretty quickly. Sure, you might get stopped out of that one, but you also know that you can flip long at that point and then trade it in the other direction. So I always think it's a good idea to trade the range until the range is no longer like what is capping price. Same thing for the downside. Like, if we come down here, sure, some people would think like, oh, this looks weak, we're revisiting the lows. But to me, this is still just a range, and I would be interested in longs at that point. And unless we get something like this, where it breaks down and then rejects from the range low, and it looks like that support is no longer support and it was flipped as resistance, then you start trading it that way. So main takeaway, don't fight this PA. We are in a range, and I think it makes the most sense to trade accordingly. And personally, I think the higher conviction plays for me are at the range extremes, like with this short from 22K down to 19.9 or whatever it was. That is higher conviction for me than a like shorter term long from the mid range up until Monday's high or till this SR level. So another thing to keep in mind, because I don't always like to trade around the mid range, because I do tend to get chopped up a little bit more there. But every now and then things will look a little cleaner than usual. Because with something like this SR, this region is pretty fluid, and it could, hold on, let me delete this. It could come down here, look like it's holding support, you get long, and then you get stopped out, and it looks like it's holding this level as resistance, so you enter a short, but then it breaks back above it, and just typically we just see a lot of chop around the mid-range. So I would be careful with trades around here. The higher conviction trades would be shorting this region or longing this region. So tried to keep that shorter and straight to the point. Shout out to Bybit. You can see their logo in the bottom left there, the sponsor of my videos and streams. If you want to check them out, I have a link in the description, and if you'd like, you can use that. And I'll keep you guys posted on Twitter if I enter any other trades, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Peace.